Colorado is a beautiful state and has so many great places to fish. But I know from experience how overwhelming it can be to plan a fishing trip, especially for beginners. I mostly plan my own fishing trips, and over the years, I've discovered a lot of tools that allow me to easily plan fishing trips in Colorado. If you follow the 3 steps I'm about to share, you can find places and start planning some fishing trips right away, no matter what your experience is. The first step is to find a river, lake, or pond with the types of fish you want to catch. After that, you need to decide where on that body of water you want to fish. With lakes, this is pretty straightforward, but Colorado rivers are more complicated. For example, the Colorado River starts in Rocky Mountain National Park and goes all the way to Mexico. With the methods I'm about to show you, you can find exact locations to fish. Last is experience, whether that's your own or others' experience. There are a lot of resources where you can find information on what has worked or not in the past. When finding a place to fish, there's a lot of information about Colorado fisheries out there. And I mostly utilize the resources that are free and available from the CPW, or Colorado Parks and Wildlife. One of these is the CPW Fishing Pamphlet. This pamphlet is free, and it includes everything a Colorado fisherman needs to know about fishing in the state of Colorado. It can be found wherever you purchase a fishing license for free. There's a lot of information in this pamphlet, including any changes for the new fishing season, any rule changes to bodies of water, closures, that sort of thing. Another important part of the pamphlet is the fishing terms and glossary. You can find here the definition of terms that CPW uses to define things. This includes what they consider things like float tubes, live bait, or different methods of fishing. This can help you comply with Colorado fishing regulations. Speaking of regulations, there is a section in the pamphlet about statewide fishing laws, rules, and regulations, which is important for any fisherman looking to fish in Colorado to look through, especially if you're a beginner. Finally, there's the fun part of the fishing pamphlet, which are the fishing maps that have maps of all the rivers and lakes in Colorado, what sort of fish you can catch in these bodies of water, and any special regulations that these bodies of water have. One of the best interactive tools for finding a Colorado fishery is the CPW's Fishing Atlas. You can find this on the CPW website, and it allows you to utilize a map that you can click on almost any body of water in the state. It will bring up detailed information about the regulations of that fishery, as well as the kinds of fish that can be found in that body of water. If you want even more detailed information to try and predict how good the fishing will be in that fishery, you can utilize a couple more tools from CPW. The first is the CPW Fish Stocking Report. This resource from the CPW allows you to see what bodies of water have recently been stocked. If you're just into fishing for stockers for some fun, you could hit all of these lakes and have a pretty good time catching some inexperienced fish. At the bottom of this page, you can check into stocking archives, which could give you some insight into things like the age of the fish that could be available in that fishery. The other tool that can give you more detailed information about a fishery is the CPW Fishing Surveys. You can find more of the information we already talked about, but the real value of these are the fish population surveys. CPW does periodic surveys of some waters, and they will post the results of these, which include numbers and size of the fish that are currently living in that water. If you are targeting a certain species, size, or number of fish, this would be the tool you're looking for to make the chances for success of your trip a little bit better. Now that you found a lake or a river to fish, a really important part of DIY fishing is finding an area of that lake or river that you want to fish and how you can access that body of water legally. For lakes, it's easy to know if you have access or not, since it is usually the entire lake that is available for fishing. The tough part is knowing how to read the lake to fish it well, which is out of the scope for this video. The rivers in Colorado are a bit more complicated, since they can span multiple miles across the state. For rivers, my first step is to take a look at the fishing maps in the CPW Fishing Pamphlet. You can get a lot of information from these maps about possible good locations to fish just from the regulations. For example, you can bet that most areas that are fly or lure only will probably have better fish. Catch and release only sections will have even better fish. And of course, gold medal waters will hold a large biomass of fish. So hitting one of these sections would be a good bet. Once you have a section of water you want to fish picked out, access is a super important part of what comes next. In Colorado, there is a lot of private property mixed in with public property around the best fishing spots in the state. I can't downplay how important it is staying on public property, so you need to make sure you know where you're going, especially in remote locations. One of the ways that has become my favorite ways of finding accessible and safe fishing spots are state wildlife areas. I have found a few really great secret spots by discovering state wildlife areas that are in remote locations that a lot of people don't fish at. I'm hesitant to even talk about state wildlife areas, but they are such a good resource for beginners, I have to. State wildlife areas are public lands or private lands shared to be used by the public for hunting and fishing. With a fishing license, you can access any of these areas, and many of them will have well-posted boundaries. A great free tool available to everyone is Google Earth. I use Google Earth to scout all the lakes I head to. Usually you can see the structure of the lakes, you can see the shallows, the deep parts, and the drop-offs. A little tip with Google Earth is that you can go to the top and turn back time on the satellite images. This allows you to check out years when the lakes were low or empty and see the actual contours of the bottom. Sometimes you can even find old road beds and other structure. With rivers, Google Earth helps me scout out parking spots and unmarked roads to reach remote parts of rivers and streams. The last tool is one that you need to pay for, but can give you the greatest peace of mind. There are many paid fishing, hiking, and four-wheeling apps out there that will show you exactly where property lines and public water are at. If you want to get really serious about finding remote fishing spots to fish, you'll need one of these tools. Most of these apps will mark key locations like parking areas, trailheads, public and private property, accessible water, and a lot of other information. Each of them has their strengths and weaknesses, so you'll have to do some research or utilize trial licensing to find out which you like the most. Okay, so let's run through an example of how to use some of these tools to find a nice fishing spot. So let's pretend you're looking through the fishing pamphlet and see a great looking spot. You find a stretch of gold medal waters next to a town near Deckers that looks like no one ever goes to fish at. It's gotta be good, right? So you pull up the CPW Fishing Surveys and search for this Deckers place. Dang, look at that. The stats are amazing. The fish are big here, and there's a lot of them. There's even a bonus. Some people that have gone there have pictures of giant fish that they're showing off. Well, we need to know what sort of access to the river is around the town of Deckers. So let's pull up Google Earth. Zooming in on the town, we can see that there's a big parking area right by the town. As we go upriver, there's even more parking. Let's zoom in here and see what else. More parking here. This looks like a great spot. However, last time you went out and got a huge ticket for parking in the wrong spot. So you want to make certain there is parking and fishing access. You pull up one of your apps that you use for hiking and fishing. And as you can see, there's a couple of sections of private water down here, but there's a lot of parking and fishing access around here as well. Going upriver, there's plenty of parking along this river. And oh, look at that. There's a bit of private water here that you need to avoid, but it goes back to public up here, all the way up to Ox Yoke. So it looks like heading to this area would be a good fishing trip with the chance of catching some pretty big fish. Hopefully, nobody else learns about this place if it's good. There you have it. Using these tools will enable anyone to find a fishing spot in Colorado. However, there is one more thing you can use to make an informed decision on where to go fishing in Colorado, and that's experience. All this theory is well and good, but nothing beats experience. There are a few ways to take advantage of experience, and the easiest is by learning from others. You can do this by visiting forums geared towards fishermen, getting clues from social media, checking out fishing apps, and listening to fish stories about good fishing spots. While these are good sources of information, at the end of the day, you just need to get out there. That's the best tip I can give you about finding good places to fish. You just have to pick a good-looking location and head out there to see how it goes. Don't be scared, use these tips and get out there and fish Colorado. Hopefully, by using some of the tools I've gone over in this video, you'll have an edge, but nothing is guaranteed in fishing. Sometimes you'll hit the jackpot and fishing will be lights out, and sometimes the fishing will be terrible. But that's why they call it fishing and not catching, right? Let me know if you have any tips that you think I missed in the comments, and thanks for watching.